The following is rated TV MALSV. It contains strong language, violence, and nudity. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the show where we talk about everything and anything nerdy. I am your host, Devious Dave Rose, and I'm joined by Doc Holliday on this special first episode. Thanks for joining us, Doc Holliday. Today we're going to be talking about the recently leaked pilot episode of Supergirl, the TV series, a show that is going to air this fall, 2015. On NBC, but surprisingly enough, we found a full high-definition episode of the pilot online. We have reviewed it, and we're now ready to tell you what it was all about. So first thing is first, we're going to have to talk about the fact that this episode was actually leaked prior to its actual defined release date. What do you have to say about that, Doc Holliday?
Well, for one, it's good to be here, Dave. And I really think that it's a test marketing ploy. Like, they really just said, all right, check this out. We don't know if anybody's even going to buy into this, so we're going to go ahead and make it leaked. And I'm doing air quotes. And we're going to see if it'll generate any buzz.
Now, that's a great point to make here on the first episode of Anything Nerdy. And I actually want to go with the network's official synopsis for Supergirl. Supergirl is an action-adventure drama based on the DC Comics character Kara Zor-El, played by Melissa Benoist. Superman's cousin, I should say, after 12 years of keeping her powers a secret on Earth, decides to finally embrace her superhuman abilities and be the hero she always wanted to be. 12-year-old Kara escaped the doomed planet Krypton with her parents' help at the same time as the infant Kal-El, aka Superman, and was protected and raised on Earth by her foster family, the Danvers, who, the father being played by Dean King, who also played Superman on television, and protected on Earth and raised by her foster family. Kara grew up in the shadow of her foster sister, Alex, played by Kyler Lee, and learned to conceal the phenomenal powers she shares with her famous cousin in order to keep her identity a secret. Years later, at 24, Kara lives in National City, assisting media mogul and fierce taskmaster Cat Grant, played by Callista Flockhart, and I'm just going to go to her pic here, who just hired her from the who just hired the Daily Planet's former photographer, James Olsen, played by Makad Brooks, as her new art director. However, Kara's days of keeping her talents a secret are over when Hank Henshaw, played by David Harewood, head of a super secret agency where her sister conveniently also works, enlists her to help and protect the citizens of National City from sinister threats. Though Kara will need to find a way to manage her newfound empowerment with her very human relationships, her heart soars as she takes to the skies as Supergirl to fight crime. And continuing, in this first episode, There are several references actually made to Superman where you sort of see him in a blurred manner. There's actually a clip where Kara says, 24 years ago, my planet was in peril. My cousin, Kal-El, was sent to planet Earth. And you can also see several glimpses of Kal-El as a baby when he does, in fact, arrive on Earth. Now, before we continue on with the content of the show, let's get a little more from Doc Holliday and his thoughts on what we've discussed so far.
So from what I'm seeing, they tried to stay close to canon, but there's a couple big things they messed up. They didn't admit, like, okay, for one, the whole point of Supergirl, which is kind of pointless to me, is she was sent to Earth after Superman or Kal-El to protect him or keep him out of trouble, keep him honest. Yet, in all the variations, it's always the other way around. It's always Supergirl getting into trouble and all this stuff. And in this one, I just kind of feel they toned her down too much. Like, what I got out of the show is she's a quiet office girl from some lonely little town out in the sticks, and she has a really bitchy boss, Felissa Flockhart, like Dave here mentioned. And they decided to throw James Olsen. For anybody who doesn't know, that's Superman's best friend, Jimmy Olsen, and why he's black, I do not know.
Now that's
and
it.
then,
Sorry, go on.
so they make him out to be basically the Peter Parker of the Superman universe, and he's like the guy that takes all the pictures of Superman, and he's like showing Kara like this blurred picture of Superman, like she got this look in her eye, like one day that's going to be her. And in the back of my head, I really want to know who this show was meant for, because like it's written like it's going to be like Smallville 2, just taking itself more seriously. But on the other hand, I feel like it's one of them, and I hate to go there, like one of them copy and paste mid-afternoon TV shows that just women would watch. And even then, I think it fails because with all the explosions and stuff, like, women don't really go out to watch that kind of thing as a whole. I'm not going to generalize and say, like there's a small majority of women that'll sit there and, like, watch a good Michael Bay film with explosions and stuff, but the majority, they ain't, like, looking for that.
Now you do make a good point. But I think that we should go back to what is this show and who is this show directly trying to get views from. And from what I see, unfortunately, Supergirl, who should be a very outstanding person and who has gotten in trouble in the past in canon, actually understands the virtue of trying to be the hero that Earth needs. Unfortunately, what I see in this TV pilot and what we're probably going to see in this full-length series is that this is basically a sort of like that movie that was made by Alicia Silverstone called Clueless. The character of Kara Jor-El, who basically parades as Kara Danvers, is someone who seems to be very aloof, very disconnected, very unaware, and yet we magically see her try out her powers after a basically 20-year hiatus of using them, and she ends up saving her sister from a airplane crash that was conveniently tried to be done by these aliens that are there on this planet. And it's just so wrong on many different levels. Supergirl, unfortunately, turns out to become a character that's more willing to create drama than live up to the ideal that Kal-El, her cousin, has actually created. I don't really know where to go from here. There's so much that we could talk about, but the bottom line is that I was extremely disappointed with this pilot episode of Supergirl. I thought it was all over the place and extremely unfocused when it came to trying to present the storyline in a very consistent manner. There has been talk about trying to build another crossover between Supergirl and Flash and or Arrow. But from what I've seen so far, I'm not looking forward to that, and I'm very disappointed to see what we've gotten so far. So before we dissect this even further in this necropsy, as you could say, or maybe an autopsy, because we're going to take this thing apart. What do you have to say about it, Doc Holliday?
My main issue with it is it just feels like a cash grab, straight up. Just because I feel like, just because Marvel found a way to tie all their movie universes together, now DC wants some of that money, and they're like, well, we've had Justice League. Justice League's always, that's DC for you. Like they have that arrogantness where they think that the Justice League has been like a household name way longer than the Avengers, even though they're about the same. Just the names in the Avengers, the goddamn Justice League are bigger because you got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Martian Bounty Hunter. These are like huge fucking characters. So I just feel like they're all just trying to tie it all together money wise, because they're gonna try to make some crazy ass Justice League fucking movie that has Supergirl and Arrow and Flash and all these fucking people from TV in it, just because they're cheaper to buy than the movie actors.
No, I would have to disagree with you there, and I'll tell you why. Just for the fact that we will not be seeing the actor who plays the Flash on the TV show on the Justice League movies. It's already been done. They've signed the appropriate actor, and that's it. This goes to show a further disconnect from those in management of DC compared to those that are in Marvel. That, for example, the last episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. refer to the fact that they have just found the twins, the Inhumans, aka mutants, that they cannot acknowledge because they've sold that right to Fox. But that being said, Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch are indirectly referenced in the last episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And what comes after? Oh, Age of Ultron, Avengers 2, where they directly assess that fact, and it gets tied directly in to the TV universe. So again, we're talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where both the movies and the TV shows, all of them, come together and reach a consensus and reach a connection that continue the storyline. Unlike DC, where you have here Supergirl come out of the blue, no direct connection to Superman, although she's referencing him all the time in the episode. And who knows if we'll see this actress with others, for example, Arrow or The Flash, appear in the movies, when it only makes sense if you want that continuity, if you want that ability to continue the storyline and keep some consistency, that you would do so.
It focuses on the minions before they met Gru in Despicable Me.
Yeah, I just feel like they're just trying to tie it all together. That's what it's, because that's what both sides are doing right now. Like, it's stupid, except Marvel's doing it better, because they're bringing out obscure storylines that actually do tie it together, like Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, I'm going there because they actually brought up the whole Infinity Gauntlet fiasco. And for you guys that don't know, the Infinity Gauntlet was this huge war that basically tied the whole Marvel universe together, and it was a really awesome story. And Marvel do more with that.
Now, let's get back to Supergirl, and specifically James Olsen, or should we call him Jimmy Olsen? The fact is that they've changed his ethnicity for probably a reason that can only be described as pandering. And more importantly, they've totally changed his storyline. Doesn't matter whether the actor is black, blue, purple, white, yellow, it doesn't matter. What have they told us in this pilot episode? That Jimmy Olsen was selected by Superman specifically to watch over his superhuman Kryptonian cousin, Kara Jor-El, at this new location where she is basically doing exactly what Kal-El is doing right now and being a reporter. It is beyond incredulous to think that Superman would even think that his cousin would require some sort of guidance. And if so, would he not be the one to do so? Would perhaps he not have somebody within either the Justice League or maybe even Star Labs try to guide her? The bottom line is here that this show has shown in total contempt from the get-go to Marvel is, I'm sorry, wishful thinking here, Freudian slip, to DC canon, and decided to go their own way. And like I said, the whole Clueless movie by Alicia Silverstone, which was also made into a TV show, and the fact is that it appears to be that they're making this show for people who are fairly vain and wanting to watch some sort of TV show that panders to feelings rather than to what the content is all about. I'm extremely bothered by the direction that DC has been going in probably for the last 20, 30 years. And with such an amount of total disconnect, a total disregard for canon, and a cluelessness when it comes to trying to tie in all these different franchises, it seems to me that DC is absolutely unable to address the same things that Marvel has done. And even with this Supergirl TV show that we're seeing right now, I just don't think that we're going to see DC's actual franchise live up to the amazingness that it does within the actual comic books. So, although I have some issues with the DC universe, I do enjoy a lot of their comic books, which is what all these TV shows are based off. And with probably over 70 years worth of content, we continue to see failing products time and time again when there's no need for that. There's an abundance of stories, an abundance of extremely talented actors, and we live in an age where CGI could basically make you believe what you're seeing. So, with all that, why are we not seeing a proper Supergirl TV show? Do you have any comments on that, Doc Holliday?
Man, my brain is stuck on the whole Jimmy Olsen thing. So here's my problem before you guys have at me and start calling me a racist. Jimmy Olsen is one of the oldest characters in the Superman universe. Some argue he's older than Zod himself. The guy has been around literally since 1938. The reason I'm complaining about him being an African American in the show is because Jimmy Olsen, okay, you got to understand what Jimmy Olsen even is. Okay, his full name is James Bartholomew, or Bart, if that helps you guys. See, the guy is a redhead. He looks like an older Dennis. He looks like a cross between Dennis the Menace and Arch from Archie's comics. And basically, he is a standing joke in the Superman universe. And later on, he got his own comic book where he acts like he's Superman's manager and he starts charging people to get saved and stuff. Like he's comic relief. And I always seen the guy as Dennis the Menace, but older. So I don't really see you doing that with this character you put in the show. Like
And
the
again,
only
what is the reason to have to change the ethnicity of James Olsen? Again, this is not a racist issue. This is an issue more of what's the point? Why are you doing so? Irregardless of this character of this individual being a talented actor, and clearly he is. The fact is that Jimmy Olsen was, just like Doc Holliday mentioned, was created in a certain way that it was more so of a joke. I mean, he was comic relief. He was basically someone that Superman could always rely on to save because he was always getting in trouble. So the fact is that, for example, Deadshot. Let's say Deadshot was changed to be a older Asian gentleman. You know, perhaps a older Japanese gentleman. Well, that would take away from who Deadshot is. Same thing if we talk about, I don't know, Black Panther. Black Panther being essentially the king of Wakanda and being a very, very capable superhero on his own. No, let's change him to be Irish. Again, what's the point? There is really no reason to change what's already established that has 70 years worth of storyline that we can use. There's a lot of different very, very talented comic book heroes that are also African American, black, whatever you want to call it, and they are very stable. Like Nick Cage, for example, comes to mind. I love him, and you know that's a Marvel product. But that being said, imagine the outrage that would come if Nick Cage was decided to be, I don't know, Finnish. Again, I'm just going on the random here. What I see here with this Supergirl TV show in general is that it seems to be a show geared primarily to probably teenage girls. That's what it seems like to me. I could be wrong, but that's the impression that I've gotten from watching this show and the way that Kara Jor-El is acting in a very aloof and flippantly uncaring manner. She does not seem to fit within what I believe in as Supergirl, who is a very confident, capable individual who might not be perfect and might not understand human culture very much. But that being said, she understands the need for being this symbol as well as for being somebody who needs to stand up for what is right and truth and justice, which is what basically Superman does. So overall, I'm extremely disappointed with what I've seen in this pilot. And granted, it was leaked early, but as Doc Holliday did say, it does appear to be that this was done in a strategic manner to try to build up the interest in this product. And as much as the main character is a very nice, good actress, it doesn't take away from the fact that she's working for a franchise that from the get-go seems to be doomed to failure. Any words to that, Doc Holliday?
You nailed it on the head, man. Like the only thing tying Jimmy Olsen to Jimmy Olsen is he's a photographer in that show. Like,
but let's
he's gonna
talk
be
more
one of-
so about the fact that he was chosen by Superman to watch over his supernaturally strong cousin.
Yeah,
I
that
mean-
doesn't make sense either. Because if you really look at what Jimmy Olsen is, why would he send the goofy guy that's always just trying to make money off Superman's good deeds?
Well, according to the character that we know, but if we're talking about this new Jimmy Olsen who seems to be a confident and capable individual, well, it's quite different from that. And there was also a few other items where we had a potential friend zoning of a character in the show, and he, for some reason, was told the whole gist of Kara Zor-El's situation, and she admitted entirely that she was Supergirl to him. Now, again, that doesn't seem to fit entirely with what Supergirl is about, knowing the fact that humans are a little apprehensive to dealing with aliens of a Kryptonian nature. To tell this guy that was trying to basically hump her, and you could tell from the way that he was trying to hit on her, she would tell him her secrets? I mean, are you kidding me? I don't understand this. It's clearly, to me, a show that's based on teenage angst. Like you said, Doc Holliday, Smallville 2.0. And I always despised Smallville. To me, I always called it DC 90210. And you're right. You're absolutely right. This has now been placed into a position just like that show was. And it is disgusting, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to pander to young kids, forgo total canon, and let's just make a story that will keep these kids coming back for more because of some supposed, romantic triangle going on. I mean, again, Supergirl's friend-zoned friend there, her coworker, basically told her that when she found out that she was in love, that her heart would go boom, or some stupid line like that. And then she meets Jimmy Olsen, for the first time. She comes out of his office, and she's like, boom. And again, referring to the fact that now she's in love. Really? So quickly? I mean, it's insulting for a male or a female, in my opinion, to watch this type of show and to even consider it that it might be, I don't know, plausible or even worthwhile to watch. It's just, it's a joke to me. It's an absolute joke.
Yeah, I give that show one season, if that. It's going to get laughed right off the air.
And it's unfortunate because, again, there's a lot of great DC products that are out there that are just waiting to be portrayed properly on the screen. But that being said, with the total lack of vision that we've seen from DC's side, this is almost guaranteed to continue on for years and years, where a show like this will go for a year and then it's canceled. And then, again, they'll do the same thing over and over and never learn their lesson like Marvel has, and realize that you have to tie it in if you really want to bring everything together. So, that being said, we've talked quite a lot about the new Supergirl TV pilot episode that was just miraculously leaked onto the internet. If you want to check it out, be sure to do so. But if you want to wait until it airs on TV, be sure to check it out on NBC coming up this fall. I'm joined by Doc Holliday on this first episode of Anything Nerdy. I am Devious Dave Rose. As always, stay devious, and we'll see you next time.